Naam, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala ashrafil mursalin Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabi wa man ittaba'ahum bi ihsan ila yasallahu dunya wa man fiha wa huwa khairul warisin. Naam, alhamdulillah. I made an announcement some days ago that I'll be staying in mosque for itikaf, and besides I'll be doing Qura'n videos within the campus. So right here with me is our Sheikh. Now, what's your name, sir?
I am Abdul Karim Yusuf.
Abdul Karim, Sheikh Abdul Karim Yusuf.
I'm not a sheikh.
Now, so inshallah, he will be reciting any surah from the Holy Quran. Then we move on bi'idhnillah. Now, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لم تقولون ما لا تفعلون كبر مقتا عند الله أن تقولوا ما لا تفعلون إن الله يحب الذين يقاتلون في سبيله صفا كأنهم بنيان مرصوص. وإذ قال موسى لقومه يا قوم لم تؤذونني وقد تعلمون أني رسول الله إليكم فلما زاغوا أزاغ الله قلوبهم والله لا يهدي القوم الفاسقين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين. وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم. ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الفاسقين.
Now, mashallah. Mashallah. I'm short of words. Alhamdulillah. I mean, now, so I noticed that you use different voice. Okay, now, how come you learn both voices?
Well, the background matters a lot. You know, when we learned our Qur'an, I learned the Qur'an through Adabiyya. My ustaz was an Adabiyya person, so I learned it through Adabiyya. Thereafter, proceeding to do my Idadiyya course, so it was Markaziyya. So blending the two together now gives me that opportunity. It gave me the opportunity to be able to blend with different voices. So I just realized that the first one I used was a kind of a natural voice that at times I decided to use. I just realized that there's nobody that is using this voice, so I love you so much. It's a personal voice that I developed myself. So the other one, the trend of when you attend competitions, you realize that okay, it is Arabia that trends. So that gave me the opportunity to learn the Arabia. That's in terms of the class of Arabia.
No, mashallah. Barakallahu fikum, sir. Now, Which madrasa do you attend, sir?
Well, for my, let me say, Rawda or Ibtidahiyya, I attended the Madrasatu Da'watul Islamiyya wal Adabiyya at Amukoko. So my ustaz then was Ustaz Mas'ud Kewulere. So that's the name of my ustaz that taught me how to read the Quran before I now proceeded to, personal assatis, friends who would take me, through the Quran. One of those people that had assisted me with my Quran was Mansur Muhammad Al Awal when we were in school. So it took me through the rudiments of that tajweed. So thereafter, I proceeded to, when you're in school, you try to attend madrasas in the school. But thereafter, I went to Darul Shawkani in Abeokuta, and that is where I have my advanced Arabic courses.
Akramakumullah. And behind every success, there will be some circumstances. What are the challenges you've faced, you've went to when learning Al Quran?
Well, in the course of learning the Quran, I would say that it began with our parents. The attitude of the parents matters a lot. When your parents had said, okay, you must attend madrasa, and they kept asking you, Sholole Kiuluni, that is, do you attend madrasa today? And in the environment when you live, even if your parents are not around, then when we were growing up, we used to have people in the neighborhood. They would say, you didn't go to madrasa. I will tell your parent when your parent comes back. So things of such, we had no option that to attend the madrasa, even when our parents were not will not be around, because we know that people from the neighborhood would assist us. Different from today, that people from the neighborhood cannot, reprimand other children in the environment. So it wasn't like that in our own time. So there wasn't serious challenge at that time, but I just realized that the kind of affairs or the stars that you have around also could be a disadvantage, because many of us, our parents wanted us to go to school. And when you now tell your parents that you want to go to madrasa, when I had that inspiration, when I was supposed to represent MSS and Igomu Area Council for a Qur'an competition, but I was told I didn't understand the tajweed. So getting back home to tell my parents that I want to go back to madrasa after watching Quran, my father told me that no, it's not possible. That you want to become all those safari that used to chase lizard up and down and rat thereabouts for this nankali and the concoction of such. Yeah. So that was a perception. That was a serious challenge for me. So I had no way to convince my father, but eventually I accepted that I should proceed with madrasa. But because of school did not allow me to go to madrasa. School didn't allow me to go then. But when I got admitted to the polytechnic, so I had to continue my madrasa because of the flair that I had for it. Because I had a flair since I was asked not to go to not to represent at the Quran competition just because I didn't go to madrasa. I said no, if that is the case, I need to go to madrasa. So that was how I got to learn through friends here and there. It was not really easy, but when I met somebody and I asked the person, can I learn Arabic and I learn Islamic studies within 6 months, the stars told me that's the stars and nothing. He said yes, it's possible. But when I started, I realized that the man just used that as a motivation for me just to begin. So I began even with that map. He was teaching me personally. I was like, from there I just realized that I was improving. So any friend that I have who is afar, I ask those people to teach me. Then I continued to learn, and I realized that I was improving. So when I go to service, during the service, I was made Amir of Muslim Core Members Association of Nigeria, Edo State chapter.
Inshallah.
So when I was the Amir, I had to lead them. I had to be leading Salah. And right from Lagos, I had learned how to read the Quran. I had learned the rudiments of Tajweed. But when I go to service, so some of my friends who are Marlam, in course now, they're outsiders now. They were not telling me I did not know how to read the Quran. I do not have a good Makharaj al-Huruf. I say, me that I've come from Lagos and I realized I could read the Quran. So I just told them, why don't you teach me? So those people now taught me the rudiment of Makharaj and things like that. So and I realized, okay, alhamdulillah, to some extent, I'm trying. when it comes to reading the Quran to the best of my own knowledge. Until now, I'm still learning because we need to continue to learn. So the challenges I faced was just that from my parents saying that I will not attend madrasa. So from my early child, the early stage, I didn't go to madrasa because of the kind of affairs that we have. So that is why all these affairs also should ensure that maybe perhaps they should just get the job doing so that there will not be discouragement to most of our people. But alhamdulillah, things have changed. Those people are fast also now. They're educated people and they have good jobs that parents are looking up to. And many parents are now encouraging their children to even go to madrasa.
Barakallahu fikum. It's a long story. Now, I want you to permit me to recite an ayah from the Holy Quran, and I will need your comments on it, sir. Now. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم الذين يجتنبون كبائر الإثم والفواحش إلا اللمم إن ربك واسع المغفرة هو أعلم بكم إذ أنشأكم من الأرض وإذ أنتم أجنة في بطون أمهاتكم فلا تزكوا أنفسكم هو أعلم بمن اتقى صدق الله العظيم. What's your comment, sir?
Well, I don't know the area I want me to comment, but if I have to look at the context of that the Quran, it is summarizing to us to tell us that when we have sins, as human beings, we are bound to make errors. But those people who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as possible to abstain from grievous sins, major sins, like associating partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, committing zina, taking life unjustly. So they abstain from such things, except of those ones that are inevitable, like errors of, you step on animal, you kill animal on the road, and things of such nature. So regardless of any situation you have found yourself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wasil maghfirah. Allah is so wide in forgiving people. He's so wide in forgiving people that we should hasten to seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, regardless of the errors we have committed. So it is when we do this, realize that you have actually become a good person. So in no situation should you trespass. In no situation should you leave your sin to linger. I think this is what struck my heart from the verse that you have just read, and that is what I want to encourage my people, that as much as we are as human beings, we are bound to make errors. We do not need to wait to identify the flaws we have made or the sins we have committed before we seek forgiveness from Allah. Because the Prophet himself says that فَإِنَّ أَتُوبُ إِلَى اللَّهِ مِئَةَ مَرَّةٍ أَوْ سَبْعِينَ مَرَّةٍ. That is, the Prophet himself seeks he used to seek forgiveness from Allah 100 times. In some riwayah it says 70 times. So if the Prophet that Allah have said لِيَغْفِرَ لَكَ اللَّهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِكَ, that is, Allah has forgiven you your present, your past tense, and sins. If Allah has forgiven all his sins and yet he seeks forgiveness, how much of us that we are not prophet of Allah? So we should just try as much as possible to forgive, to seek forgiveness, and we should try as much as possible to abstain from sins. Wallahu a'lam.
Nam jazakumullahu khairan jaza. Now, I want you to advise the Ummah towards the learning of Al-Quran and the concept of Islam generally.
Well, if you talk of the concept of Islam, by virtue of what it means, that is al-istislam, total submission to the will of Allah. I don't think we should have any other reason not to submit ourselves to Allah, because Allah is our creator. He has created us. The one who has created us has the best way with which we can live our life. So we should just submit ourselves to him so that we can live a good life. If someone has manufactured an item and he has attached the manual to it, for that thing to have warranty, for that thing to have longevity, for that thing to be enjoyed, it means you must stick to the to the manner that is attached to it. So this is Allah who is our creator. We should just submit ourselves to it, and that is what Islam is. That is total submission to the word of Allah. So when you now submit yourself to the word of Allah, then you have both external and internal peace. This defines the concept of al-Islam. So for us now to associate all that thing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, indeed, it is great hypocrisy that somebody has created you to this world to be existing. You now leave that person or that being that has created you to exist. You now leave it to worship other things that creator has created. This is indeed a thing of hypocrisy. So this defines the concept of al-Islam, that submitting yourself to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it has to be in line with the Qur'an and the Hadith, what the Qur'an has stipulated or has explained by the Hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this tells us the concept of Islam. But if I may have to advise the Ummah on learning of the Qur'an, you see, the earlier the better, the earlier the better, and we should also understand that there is no time that is too late to learn the Qur'an. And I used to tell people, aside that we did Walima the Qur'an, every other thing I learned about the Qur'an was when I go to tertiary institution. And if I could look at my age then, if I can recall, I think I was about 22 years or thereabouts when I began to learn the real tajweed of the Qur'an. So for those of us who are just coming up, even if you are yet to learn how to read Qur'an, you can start. I could recall when we were in madrasa then with Ustaz Mas'ud, a man joined us in the madrasa. We taught the man how to read Alif Ba Ta Sa. But to our dismay, it was a surprise. The man finished before us. He finished completely reading of the Quran before. He did Walima before us.
MashaAllah.
So then we were young. He was an elderly person. We call him, I don't recall Baba, something that we used to call him because he had charge. So what I'm saying in essence is that there is no age that can say you cannot read the Quran. And if you find somebody who is a good teacher, you just realize that within 6 months, you know how to read the Quran very well. So let us just put more effort. And for those of us who are struggling, the Quran is such a thing that the more you get used to it, the better it becomes. Just like the Prophet have said that it's just like a camel. If you loosen the rope, it will blow away. But if you tighten it, it stays with you. So you need to be frequent to reading the Quran, even if you find it difficult to read. As you find it difficult to read, just realize that over time, you just know it. So it just become relaxed. One day you just ask yourself, is it me that was reading the Quran, that I'm not reading the Quran frequently now? So and this is how it's supposed to be. So we should not relent, we just continue. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a way of rewarding that person who is struggling to read the Quran, just as the Prophet has mentioned, that he that is struggling will have the reward for that struggling. And you still have the reward for reading, so you have the reward for that. So we ask Allah to assist us in this regard. Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakumullahu khairan jaza. So I really appreciate your maximum attention. So may Allah be with you and also grant you your heart desires. Amen. So now, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now you've had it all. So may Allah be with us and also ease our fears. Now, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.